Good afternoon, everyone. And this is a quick reminder on the project. It was originally recorded October 4th, 2019. The re-recording is October 11th, 2019. So at the moment, it's still due on the 15th. Learning targets, solving for a literal equation for a specific variable, and think about how do we solve problems step by step using all information. That is the portrait of a graduate, creative and critical thinker skills. The goal, you are creating a poster of your name based on little equations solved for the letters in your name. Guidelines. You must have at least 10 letters using 10 unique literal equations using a combination of first, middle, and last name. You must submit your work formula sheet for solving each of the 10 literal equations you choose. A minimum of 2 pictures drawn or cut out must be included. Every letter in your name must be represented by an equation. Duplicates are okay as long as you meet the minimum requirement of 10 unique literal equations. Now, if you have less than 10 letters throughout your whole name, you can use additional letters from family members' names. That is fine. So the project breakdown is the following. Formula sheet, which is on the back side of this paper. You need to show the steps and correctly solve for the 10 equations. This is half the project right here. Your poster, it shows the actual letters and their equations. That is 30% of your project. Pictures, D2, drawn or cut, that's 10% of the grade. And neatness and creativity, another 10% of the grade. This is your worksheet back here. There's at least 44, probably more, equations you can use, and then state the letter in the small box. So, for this example, let's say I'm going to choose the letter M. That is our original letter. And then what I need to do is find an original equation where M has not yet already been solved. So we'll use an example, y equals mx plus b. Okay. Regarding the letter I chose the letter M. However, the letter M must not be isolated. It must be a part of an equation, but yet not isolated. So we need to do some work to get M by itself. So I chose the equation y equals mx plus b. This is an equation of a line, which you will see very soon. Now, I want to get M isolated. So, highlight the letter M. Well, I do highlighting. You could circle. But just so you know, okay, this letter needs to be isolated. So now, step 1, what we will do is, in order to get M isolated, we do reverse PEMDAS. So we will subtract B on both sides. So we subtract B on both sides. Then we have y minus b equals m times x. Our second step, since we still want to get m isolated, we need to then divide both sides by x. So we divide both sides by x. So then, similar to dividing coefficients, the x's cancel. And I forgot earlier, the positive b and the negative b cancel. And our final result will be such that our letter m, it's alone, it's isolated, and we rewrite y minus b divided by x is equal to m. So that is one example of pick a letter, but you need to isolate it because it must be incorporated in an equation. Let's do another example. Another example is, pick the letter S. Looks like a 5. Sorry about that. Let's type it in. We don't need bold. Now we need to figure out another equation. So, one example is the perimeter of a square. The perimeter of a square is P equals 4S, or 4 times S. Now, in this case, this is one step and only one step. So again, the goal is we want to isolate the letter S. And there's really only one step we need to take, and that is the following. We will divide both sides by the 4. So then the 4's cancel out, and then P divided by 4 gives us a result of S. Now, some of you have asked, oh, wait a minute, my name has the same letter, but it repeats. Okay, what you can do in a case like that is the following. You can still find the same letter. So here's an example. We'll go back to the letter S. But now we need to use a different equation. So we can't use the P equals 4S equation again. However, we will use the following. So we will say V to the second power equals U squared minus 2AS. Now, we do reverse PEMDAS. So in this case, our first step, subtract U squared on both sides. And so we have, now this is not the final equation, V squared minus U squared equals negative 2AS. And again, I forgot, highlight the variable we are trying to solve, which is the S. So the first step, we subtracted U squared on both sides. So what will happen in the end is the u squared and the negative u squared will cancel out. So we have v squared minus u squared equals negative 2as. Now, your next step for this problem, and it's actually your last step, you want to get s by itself. So we're multiplying by negative 2a to get our product. Now the opposite of multiplying by negative 2a is dividing by negative 2a. So again, whatever we do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So now here, our negatives, 2a's, both cancel out. I'm going to use a different ink vat. And then on this side, we can just leave it intact. So we have isolated our variable s, and the result is v squared minus u squared over negative 2a. So I have listed literal equations. So there's 23 on this page, another 27 on this page. Notice how the last 1, 2, 3, 4 equations were written in. These are available for your use. And then I have an example of my name. So for this example, to get the m, I started with y equals mx plus b. And this was from the original example. That is why I'm not going over this one a second time, because we've already seen this. The second one, the original equation was I equals P R T. That's your original. That's simple interest. Divide both sides by P times T, and that's how you get your R isolated. So that's another example. So I'm just going to write it small letters, and R equals I over P times T is the same as I over P times T equal to R. And again, this P and that T cancel, you're left with the R isolated. And similarly, I had a couple of letters that repeated. I had a couple of R's along with a couple of N's. And then I had this last one. Again, we're trying to isolate the S. So that means we divide both sides by T. Sorry, my T does not look the best. And in the end, you have S is equal to D divided by T. And you could place pictures, either cut them out from magazines, articles, Photoshop if you do it online, that is fine. This project is again due on Tuesday the 15th. However, if you're still struggling, please feel free to see me after school. I will on Tuesday, and then we can work on it from there. All right. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week.